I'm sure you have seen mate in 1 puzzles, or maybe even mate in 2 or 3, and so on. But this particular puzzle is a mate in 130 moves. Yes, I am not joking. There is actually a checkmate in 130 moves here with best play from both sides. If you want, you may pause and try to find the idea of the checkmate. So the first thing to note is that we are down a lot of material. We only have a queen against 2 rooks, 2 knights, a bishop and 8 pawns. But there are a few things going well for us. First, the black king is quite trapped at the edge of the board, which makes our chances of checkmating the king higher. Our king is also helping out to keep the king trapped there. Another point is that black's pieces are not well coordinated. These pawns are tripled, and these pawns are quintupled, meaning they cannot defend each other and block each other's way. The knights are on the edge of the board not doing much, and black's rook is trapped in the corner. But if we don't act fast, black will find ways to escape the king, activate their pieces and dominate the queen. So the first move is queen d1 check, the only check in the position. Black is forced to block with the rook. Now once again, we don't want to take the bishop and give black a chance to escape their king and start counter-attacking, so we have to give another check, along the newly opened diagonal this time. Now black can either block with the bishop or the rook. If the bishop blocks, then black loses faster because of queen b5 check, forcing the bishop to block, and queen takes b3 is checkmate. So black has to block with the rook. Queen d1 would just be repeating moves, so instead we take the knight with check and the rook blocks. Now we return to d3 with check. If the bishop blocks, queen b5 is bye-bye for black. Now we check again on d1. Remember when we first played this move? Everything is the same, except the knight on f1 is gone. This is an important detail, and you will see why soon. After the rook blocks, we don't give the same check like last time, but we play the stunning queen d2, threatening checkmate on b2. The funny part is that despite black having all of these pieces that are free to do anything they want, the only move that can stop the checkmate is rook c2 again. If you were thinking bishop c2 also stops checkmate, it doesn't, because white can play queen d4, and queen b2 checkmate is unstoppable. So rook d2 is the only option. Now you might be wondering, since black still played the same move, rook c2, why didn't we go queen d3 check? Why must we play queen d2? The reason is that now we have the option to play queen e1 check, so that after the rook blocks and we check along the same diagonal, the queen now aims at the other diagonal where the second knight is, so now we can pick off both knights. Even after we have deleted both knights, it still seems like there isn't any way to make further progress. The way we win this game is by using zugzwang. It is a chess term where a player has to make a move, but all of their moves worsen their position. In order to achieve that, we have to do some maneuvering. So we start with queen e for check. If the bishop blocks, queen b7 check is mate in 2. Now we swing down to e1 and d2, threatening checkmate on b2. The rook has to block, and we don't go back to e1, but we go d1 this time, so that we can go to d3 and move back to e4. Now we have miraculously arrived at the same position before the maneuvering, except last time it was white to play, and now it's black to play. This is almost an example of a zugzwang, where black has to make a move, but all of them make their position worse. I said almost a zugzwang because not all of their moves worsen their position at the moment. These pawns are blocked. This rook is trapped, and this rook is pinned. The king has only one move, but that move leads to checkmate. If the bishop moves off this diagonal, then queen e1, followed by queen d2, threatening checkmate, and then we have queen d1 and queen b3 is checkmate because the bishop doesn't defend b3 anymore. If the bishop remains on this diagonal, then after queen e1 and queen d2, the rook has to stop the checkmate threat, and then we have queen d1 and the queen can now take the bishop on b3, which is checkmate. So you can see how all these pieces cannot move or forced checkmate will occur. So the only pieces that can move for black are these two pawns, so black chooses a6. As you saw, if somehow all of these pawns were gone, black would be forced to make a move that white can use to force checkmate, or in other words, be in zugzwang. But how do we remove all of black's pawns? Notice that all these pawns move to the same promotion square, h1, and our queen is conveniently covering that square as well. This means that if we can reach this position again, but as black to play, black has to eventually push all of their pawns to h1 where our queen can take them with check each time, and eventually reach this position one more time where all the pawns are gone, and black would actually be in zugzwang. That's really the whole game plan. So we do the same sequence as before, queen e1, queen d2, queen d1, queen d3, and then we reach the same position again, except it's black to play, and they have to push a pawn. Now we just have to keep repeating this until all the pawns are gone. We have finally removed all of black's pawns, and it is move 124, meaning that there is a mate in 6 here. Instead of doing our usual maneuvering, we have a faster way to achieve the same zugzwang with queen h7, which was not possible before because of the pawns, and queen e4, reaching the same zugzwang. Now black has to move the bishop away, and we get the job done. I hope you enjoyed this insane checkmate puzzle. See you in the next video.